Well, hey there, everyone, and welcome back to Stuff in Excel. I'm Richard, and what we're going to do today is take a look at the text to columns tool that is built into Excel. It's a really useful tool when you've got text all in a column and you need to break that text out or parse it out into separate columns. Now, there's actually several tools in Excel that can accomplish this task, but we're going to look at the text to column tool that's built into the bar up at the top. And then we're going to look at the functions in another video that are the new text functions where you have text join, text split, text before, and text after. Really kind of cool functions that we can use. So let's first go look at text to columns. So we have some data over here to the far left. Now, once you look at this data, what we have is some names. Now, these names are all in column B. We have both the first name and the last name. It is not uncommon that what we would really rather have is those names split into two columns. So it's a pretty easy thing to do. We're simply going to text or highlight the columns or the data range that we want to split into separate columns. Now, once we've highlighted that range, we're going to go up to the data bar, and let me get my little magnifier going. We're going to go to data. And once on data, we're going to go over to the right, and there's an option called text to columns. Now, if you're on a laptop, you may not actually see the actual text to columns words, but what you may see is this icon. But this icon means text to columns. So we'll click on it, and it's going to automatically split those words using a delimiter. So it asks us here, what's the delimiter we want to use? And we're going to say that we want to use the comma, or excuse me, the space that's in there. In this case, we have a space. We don't have a comma or a tab. So we're going to use the comma, and we'll go down here. We'll simply we'll actually go to the finish. We'll hit finish, and it automatically splits those for us, no problem. So let's go look at a slightly different example. Now we've got states and columns here, states and excuse me, cities and states here, and we've got those in a column. We also have zip code. Now I know those aren't the right zip codes. Don't get all bent out of shape over that. I know they're not the right zip codes. But let's say this is a zip code column. So if we wanted to split this, I want you to see what happens if we split it. So if I highlight this, and now I go over to text to columns, and I say I want to split that by, let's just say we're going to split it by space again. When I hit that and I hit finish, well, there's already data there. Do you want to replace it? If I try to split this, it's going to put stuff into column B. I've already got stuff in column B. So what we have to do if we want to do this is we have to first insert the number of columns we think we're going to need. In this case, we've got a city and a state. So we're going to need two columns. We've got one column already. We have to add a second column. So now when I highlight this and I hit text to columns and I decide I want to use the delimiter and I'm going to use space and I hit OK, it splits it. But I want you to notice something here. I've still got these commas over here in column A, and that looks kind of messy, right? Now, what if I undid that, and what if I went back and I did a text to columns, and I did, this time I'm going to use the commas as my delimiter. Well, it does that, but notice this, it doesn't pick up South Carolina because South Carolina did not have a column in it. Well, what's interesting about this text to column feature is I can go to text to columns and I can choose my delimiters, and it will actually allow me to choose multiple delimiters. So I can choose both the column and the space at the same time, and when I hit finish, it will just go right to that and separate that just like it should. Now, I want to show you a little problem that we have if we use text to columns. If we've got some unbalanced text that we want to split. So if I go over here to this, and this is the same data set that we resulted with, that was the result of the tool when we used the substitute function. So that's another video. But let's say we want to split big box and the part numbers into separate columns. Well, first let's insert some columns. Here we have big, box, and a part number. So we're going to actually need to insert two columns. So we'll insert one and we'll insert a second column. Now, if I highlight this and I do text split, I want you to see what happens. It's going to split it just fine based on, I'm going to use for my delimiter, I'm going to use a space. And it's going to split it, but it says there's already data there. Well, there's actually not, but I split that, and look what happens. I have big, Then I've got box and part number. But look what happens down here. Since there was only one word in the product name, that this ends up, I really want this part number over here in column C. And I want really big and box to be together. The only thing I want to split off is the part number. I don't want to split off the part description. So how do I do that? Well, we can't do that with text to columns, but there's another tool I'll do a video on that we can do that. It's the text split tool and the text after and before tools. So those are going to be really cool tools. Those will be a separate video. In the meantime, I hope this was helpful to you. We'll see you real soon on Stuff in Excel.